working as an aide to the New South Wales Governor, but an Australian woman has led the way in revitalising a hospital in regional Uganda with the help of Pastor David Livingstone Zijjan. In January 2019, David adopted Glenyce as his mother. And I got them both in the studio, and it's so amazing to have you here. So you've only arrived back in Australia today?
Yes, at 6:05 this morning.
Gosh. So what are you going to be doing on this trip?
We're catching up with family because David hasn't met all of his family, so
Yes.
we're catching up with family, but we're also promoting and talking, doing a lot of talking about what our projects are in our hospital and the work in Uganda.
Yeah. So Glenyce, your love affair with Africa commenced in 1969, so tell us about that.
Well, my dad was sent there to Zambia working in the government, and I went to school. I did my O-levels at a school in Lusaka.
Yes.
And it's then that God put a passion in my heart for Africa. And, I always wanted to go back.
So what about Uganda? How did that come about?
Well, I was working for a mission organisation called Life Connection Australia Incorporated, and David is the regional leader for that organisation in Uganda, and we met at different times and met and worked together on projects, and it just developed from there.
And you were hosted at the home of Pastor David Livingstone and his wife Sarah and their 6 children?
Yes, we stayed there.
Yeah.
And the relationship just developed from there and exploded.
Now, David, you haven't said a word yet. Tell us about your background, because you were raised by a pretty dysfunctional family there?
Yes, I later realized that it had been a dysfunctional family. Growing in it, it was my normal.
It was the normal, yeah.
Yeah. My mother raised all 7 of us as a single mother. We were 7 children of 5 different fathers. And she was an alcoholic. She abused alcohol, and she struggled to work in people's gardens to sustain us. And so there wasn't much really in the family. It was a struggle. We had to drop out of school at very early stages to just try and make ends meet.
Gosh. Now, at the age of 17, you were left with 2 nephews and a niece to raise as your last living brother was dying from HIV/AIDS.
Yes, he was actually our eldest brother. At 17, I am the youngest of 4 brothers, and I'm the only one who lives. All 3 of my brothers died because of AIDS. And
I was in Africa at that time. It was terrible.
Yeah. In Uganda, it was about up to 10% HIV prevalence. So every family suffered a loss due to HIV, and my family wasn't an exception. So my brother muted words which I translated to think that he was saying, "David, please take care of the children." I was in my 2nd year of high school, and I became a father of 3, 2 boys and 1 girl, and had to drop out of school in order to take care of the children.
Now, tell us about Father's Divine Love Ministries. They go homes and education, healthcare, food. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, when my brother left the 3 of mine, of the 3 children, and then later I found at church a girl who is now my wife of 21 years.
Yes.
And she was also coming from a family where herself and her mother were taking care of 7 orphaned children.
Yes.
And so when we got married, on the first day of our marriage, we had 11 children to take care of. And I thought that...
What did you do with those 11 children? When you say take care of, what did you mean?
Well, we had to provide shelter and food.
Yes.
And education. But first it just was shelter, a place for them to call home, and then we would trust God for provision for other
As
things.
You do.
Yeah, so I also thought that my brother's cry for take care of the children wasn't only his cry, it was the cry of many who were succumbing to HIV, who had to leave children with relatives. Yes. And so because of that many children, we had to register as a a ministry, as an organization, and that is how the Orphan Care Project started.
So how in the name of everything did you end up adopting Glenyce as your mother?
We had been on a mission trip to South Africa, and after the mission trip, everyone went their way to catch their flights, but I was going to spend the night in Johannesburg Airport, and I was going to stay at the boarding gate for over 10 hours. Glenyce took care of me and made sure that I had shelter before I left. And so it was her motherly instincts, the care, that drew me to her. And adoption wasn't a new concept for me, because we grow up in extended families,
Yes.
and we adopt nephews and nieces
Yes,
and
all
aunties.
of that stuff, yes.
Yeah, so I asked Glenyce if she could be my mother, and she accepted, and we inducted her into our family.
And what, did you have a big cry and hug each other and all that?
Yes, we had a formal induction at home, and neighbors came and church members came. So, yeah.
And so, Glenyce, you instantly became a mother, mother-in-law and grandmother.
Yes,
What was that like?
a shock. And I'm
Yeah,
still
you got to say more than that.
I'm still on a learning curve. You know, it's pretty incredible to become a mother at 64, which I was at that stage. And, you know, I never really appreciated what being a mother was like. You can't relate it to anything else.
No.
And God just exploded that whole motherly instinct. Because I used to say to people, I'm not a mother. Don't call me a mother, I'm not. But instantly it changed. And I can't describe it, but it's incredible.
So in 2022, you and David formed a company known as Glenyce, is it?
No, it's Glen's, Glen for me, that's Glen for Glenyce, and Z for Zijjan. So Glen's group of
What
companies.
did you set up to do with that?
Well, initially we were going to just do business to raise money, because, you know, going and asking for money, going and seeking donations, yes, and it can be soul destroying. We believe, though, that God's given us abilities, and we should use the talents and abilities to raise money ourselves. So we were going to go into business. We looked at numerous businesses. Nothing gelled. Nothing excited us. But we formed a company, and with that aim.
And you returned to Australia, sold all your possessions and returned to live in Uganda. Was that difficult? Was it a difficult decision?
I went through, David teases me all the time about the what ifs. You go through the what ifs. So what if this, what if that, what if. And then, but you know, when you look at Bible stories, it wasn't until the children of Israel actually took that first step that things happened. So you get the vision,
have to do it.
but you have to put your feet. You know all about this, Bill. So you have to do it. And once I had made that decision, I'm doing it, and I had peace. Somebody said to me, "If you've got peace, go with it." And I had peace, and so that's it.
So, David, what happened in June 2022?
A lot of things happened.
Well, I got here a great opportunity arose. What happened?
Well, as she's mentioned, we were trying to find how we could invest resources and become more self-sustaining as a ministry. And then I realized that a hospital in the neighborhood was on the market. So I sent her a link and said, look up that and tell me what you think. And the Lord made it possible for us to acquire the hospital.
So you've got Glen's Dignity Hospital.
Yes.
Now, tell us about it. What does it do?
It provides healthcare in a population where the doctor-patient ratio is really, really high.
Yes.
And it provides also a higher standard than what the local population there would afford.
Yes.
So it's basically providing healthcare to people who would otherwise have been less privileged, who wouldn't have acquired healthcare at that level.
Like your brothers.
Yes.
So, and you're also a member of Parliament.
Yes.
So tell us, what's it like being a member of Parliament there?
Well, first, it's been an unfolding story, really. I started as a high school dropout. I didn't even have the education to qualify to be a member of parliament. Started taking care of orphaned children. Communities started responding, and our testimony went broader. And then we realized that we also could make a contribution via contributing to policy change and legislation. So I went back to school and finished high school and advanced school, and then went to university and ran for parliament in my area. Owing to the testimony of the philanthropic work we did, I won the election.
So do you kind of put the politicians on notice and give them a hard time?
I find myself that I'm also one of them, but they say all men are political animals. So coming from my philosophy, it's definitely difficult dealing with me. I am more clear-cut, I'm more straightforward. I'm a social justice advocate.
Yes.
And I'm very unpopular in the house, but popular with the people.
I bet you are. Yes. Now, Glenyce, it must seem like an eternity since you walked through the corridors of power on Macquarie Street, accompanying the Governor of New South Wales and organising state visits by royalty and heads of government. Do you miss it at all?
No.
You know King Charles is coming next.
Yeah, I know. And I've actually...
And would you miss all the fuss around that?
Well, I loved that job. That I was passionate about that job, and I did it for many, many years. And I looked after him on numerous occasions. And the late Queen, I looked after her too. But
this is more important.
This has got eternal value, and. So
if anyone wants to help you guys, how do they do it?
Well, they can contact us through www.glenzgroup.com. And that's
www.glenzgroup.com.
Yes, and there's a donate page there on how to donate.
That big blinking light. Glenyce Gers and Pastor David Livingstone Zijjan, thanks for coming into the studio tonight. You've lifted our souls amazingly. Thank you.